Remarkable! Incredible! Unbelievable!
Save! And fuck our champions!
Goal! It doesn't get any better than that! Wherever New York Renegades Football Club goes, United Premier Soccer League accolades are never too far away. Aside from becoming the first team of the North Subconference to lift 2 consecutive regular season trophies, New York Renegades FC became the first Northeast American Conference team to win 3 successive conference playoff titles. In response to its opponent's reasonable confidence, Brooklyn Football Club 2 will attempt to poison that mentality into hubris in tonight's fixture. The Brooklynites are participating in their 3rd Premier Division campaign and are looking for a fiery response to last season. Given that BKFC was one of 11 teams then to finish with a goal differential of exactly 0 and had the 3rd lowest goal scored amongst this small sample. A game for redemption for Brooklyn FC. Meanwhile, a game to display supremacy on behalf of New York Renegades FC. New York Renegades FC welcomes its Brooklyn FC 2 opponents to its Long Island grounds in this United Premier Soccer League fixture on Game in Frame. Great expectations from not only the club's players, but also perhaps the entire United Premier Soccer League surround New York Renegades Football Club. 2 back-to-back campaigns have ended in regular season glory for the Long Island representatives, and they are hoping to accomplish a feat this spring that has yet to be done in the history of the combined Northeast American Conference. A consecutive trifecta of conference titles in the regular season. The first challenger that stands in the locals' path, however, is Brooklyn Football Club 2, a well-known name in this competition that is forging its own way for redemption after its 2024 fall efforts fell short of postseason contention by just 4 points. Behind the camera is Marlon Diaz. I am Sean Cabrera, and welcome to the 2025 spring season of the United Premier Soccer League Premier Division on Game in Frame. As we see tonight, New York Renegades Football Club will be wearing an all-white uniform accompanied by orange details as well as blue lettering and numbering. Meanwhile, for Brooklyn Football Club, it'll be sporting its already classic all-black kit accompanied by limestone colors, in other words, that off-white tone, of course, with white numbers and lettering. The Brooklynite goalkeeper will be wearing an all-red uniform with black lettering. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, for New York Renegades FC, their guardian between the posts will be wearing a neon green or yellow outfit. And in the meanwhile, we could also go over the starting lineups, starting first with New York Renegades Football Club. In goal, we're able to find Eric Edwards. His left back will be Cristian Garcia. His right back will be Francisco Flores. There will be a duo of center backs. First, but certainly not least, will be O.J. Bedward. Secondly, will be Samuel Cáceres, a veteran name here amongst the squad. There will be a trio of midfielders. Up front first will be Jonathan Silveira alongside Oscar Rivas. Likewise, Yo-Yo Alexander Johansen will likewise be playing as a holding midfielder of sorts. And their trifecta of forwards will include Dylan Woods on the right wing, Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo on the left, and Junior Rosero as the leading striker. As the referee approves, make sure everything is in order. The spring 2025 season of the UPSL Premier Division in this conference is now going. It's now rolling. Although it was Brooklyn FC that got the kickoff going at first, it will be, in fact, the New York Renegades themselves that will hold possession first. As it goes from center back to center back, Yo-Yo Alexander playing farther into his own field. As already we're seeing a speedy attack on the right wing, Junior Rosero trying to pressure alongside Dylan Woods, the opposition's back line. New York Renegades Football Club will be coached today by Boris Linares. As it's played all the way back to the defender, who has the goalkeeper as an option, and in fact, it will go to Eric Edwards, the Jamaican goalkeeper, playing it toward the nearest center back in the form of Samuel Cáceres, the Paraguayan veteran of New York Renegades Football Club, retreating just a tad. The same cannot be said for Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo, one of two Colombians in the Renegades front line. And now that a throw-in will be in place for New York Renegades FC, let's also talk about Brooklyn Football Club 2, who today will be featuring a lot of academy players per the coach's words. So in goal, starting in goal, will be Wilson Munoz. His right back will be Alexander Melgar, and his left back will be Richard Ewart. Likewise, David Adaus will be playing as a center back, as New York Renegades FC gets the ball rolling quickly, wasting little to no time attacking the opposition's back line. As it continues to hop high in the air, it's Francisco Flores with some fancy footwork. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo now in the driver's seat, playing it laterally toward Yo-Yo Alexander. Back to Sebastián, trusting the footwork of his own center back, namely in the form of O.J. Bedward. As O.J. plays it toward Cáceres. Samuel Cáceres, trying to drive it forward, was a little too ambitious. Brooklyn FC taking it away, now trying to deliver a counterattack of its own, driving it down the middle, taken away once more by New York Renegades Football Club. Evading two challenges almost at the same time, it's still with Renegades. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo controlled the ball at the end, all whilst he was offside. Brooklyn FC will restart this match via a free kick. Continuing with the starting lineup for Brooklyn FC, Ezekiel Rolland as well completes that center back duo alongside David Adaus. Looking at the midfield, we're able to find Chris Foposi alongside Eric Teneda, as Brooklyn FC already approaches the opposition's third. The players in black moving back, in fact, from fullback to winger. Winger still in possession, crossing it toward the edge of the 18-yard box. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo doing his defensive work, dropping back alongside Francisco Flores. Quick passes as Yo-Yo Alexander with the captain's armband plays it toward the nearest fullback in the form of Cristian Garcia. The Ecuadorian defender Cristian Garcia now being put to the work. Here comes Brooklyn Football Club, not able to penetrate Garcia's back wall. Ruiz Restrepo has Eric Edwards as the safest option, and to the neon goalkeeper it goes, adjusting the ball just outside his own 6-yard box. Feeling the pressure from nobody, he opts to play it out toward the nearest fullback. It's toward that right-hand side, although there will be an equipment change. Both Eric Edwards as well as Samuel Cáceres felt that the ball was in an unfit condition, so there will be a quick equipment change. New York Renegades FC should still be in possession of the ball. So continuing with the starting 11 as well for Brooklyn FC, given already the quick interruptions we've had here in these initial minutes of this match, Raveen Parekh will also be contributing offensively in the midfield area. Meanwhile, at the left wing, we could find Lars Vanderlop. On the right wing, well, for now, we have to talk about New York Renegades FC, who likewise are attacking on the right wing, making their way into enemy territory, although retreating just a tad. Possession being heavily favored by the home side, for the home side. We are able to find as well, completing that trio of forwards, Yaya Etch and Sebastian Orbasi George. As now Brooklyn FC, once more with another opportunity, quickly cut short. Once more, New York Renegades FC with a solid defensive display, cross toward the near post. Eric Edwards able to control. Already a quick complaint for a penalty, given the physical challenge at the very end of that contact. The referee deems it legal, deems it as nothing worth an infraction. Rosero from the striker position turns into a right winger, overlapping as well with those quick 1-2s just on the edge of the penalty area. New York Renegades FC had the ball before it rolls out for a throw-in. Throw-in taken by Garcia. The Ecuadorian playing it toward the Trinidadian, Johance Alexander. Affectionately known as Yo-Yo, as New York Renegades FC commits a sin in the opposition's third. Junior Rosero, the nearest player to that ball. As that's Richard Ewart taking the free kick. Ewart playing it toward a nearby Chris Faposi. Intercepted by Garcia. Overlapping it with Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo. The Colombian dropping it back for a nearby defender, namely OJ Bedward. OJ to Yo-Yo. Back to Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo, scanning over his right shoulder. Playing it toward the right fullback right back of New York Renegades Football Club, who crosses into enemy territory, driving it along the right wing, still attacking New York Renegades FC, looking for an early cross and a clearance that at the end appears desperate for Brooklyn FC. Numbers not in their favor per se, given that Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo was right behind the shoulder of Richard Ewart, who had to go from his, on paper, left back role to right back. So from that clearance, we already have our first corner kick of this game, all in favor of New York Renegades FC. Lots of numbers inside the 18-yard box in favor of New York Renegades FC. Francisco Flores, the nearest player, receives the pass. Driven cross, still with New York Renegades FC, outside the 18-yard box, letting it fly. Skidding across the ground, not too wide. I believe that was Junior Rosero who pulled the trigger. And just like that, we have our first shot attempted in this game. As Richard Ewart plays it back to the goalkeeper to officially restart this game. Lobbed, making its way toward the halfway line. Still with Brooklyn FC, chopping directions. Yo-Yo with a physical challenge is able to strip his opponent off the ball. More specifically, I believe that was Eric Teneda, as the assistant referee waves the flag for an infraction. A physical contest that results in a New York Renegades FC free kick. And just like that, we've already seen our first booking of the season here in this conference. Barely 9 minutes in. And already a disciplinary warning from the referee. We can call this a free kick from give or take 25 yards away from goal. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo is left somewhat unmarked on the edge of the penalty arc. We see O.J. Bedward as well with a lot of space. Nobody currently marking the Big 12. Left-footed service, driven along the ground. Quick 1-2s, cleared away. Another corner kick, once more in favor of New York Renegades FC. A very promising offensive start so far. No shots on target, one shot officially attempted, but when you look at possession within these opening 10 plus minutes, it's so far leaned heavily in favor of Renegades. This should be an inward swinger. Served toward the first post, bouncing off ahead. That was Samuel Cáceres. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo going for a volley and well beyond the mark. Too much traffic in the way, forced that high and out shot. The back line of Brooklyn FC toying with the ball at their feet. Currently 48 degrees Fahrenheit in this part of Long Island. There was much heavier rain earlier. It's died down a little bit for now. And frankly, we do hope that it stays that way. We have winds of 8 miles per hour, gusts of up to 16. Winds have hardly been brutal. I wouldn't consider it a game-changing factor. But with a wet field, well, we could see some tumbles and slips. Garcia keeping the ball alive. Receiving the pass from the Big 12 OJ. As Bedward plays it towards Samuel Cáceres. Cáceres, right-footed lob along the right wing. Trying to keep it alive are the New York Renegades. Although it bounces out of bounds, it will be a goal kick for Brooklyn Football Club. Munoz adjusting this ball. As Munoz likewise tells all his defenders and midfielders to enter into the enemy territory. This goal kick nearly crosses the halfway line, was cut short by Yo-Yo Alexander. Richard Ewer, wearing the number 50 on his back. Flores evades 2 challengers. Junior Rosero letting it fly just over the crossbar. Rosero with an outrageous effort, opting for pure power, and it was just inches away from a goal. And we're starting to see here perhaps a slight formation change as Ravim Perrick, the number 26 for Brooklyn FC, almost enacting more as a striker or second striker rather than an attacking midfielder. We're seeing him move constantly closer and closer to the front line as now he drops back toward the neutral third. As the nearest player to pressure that Renegade is Yaya Etch. Yaya. Quick play from Renegades, maybe too quick as the ball is given away. With some steadfast defending is Foposi. A through pass cut short. Good defending by Cristian Garcia. Yo-Yo Alexander, the Trinidadian, playing it toward Francisco Flores. Dropped back to O.J. Bedward. O.J. to Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo to Cáceres. New York Renegades FC controlling the tempo of the game so far as Cristian Garcia is opting to attack that left wing. Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo dropping back as OJ delivers this one toward Garcia. Though the pass just a little too wide, OJ apologizing to his fullback. The two on the right page, but one cannot deny the saturated condition of the pitch certainly had to affect that pass, or had to have affected that pass. OJ looking for a foul, none given according to the assistant and lead referee, but OJ with some solid defending, using his heel to slow down his opposition. Yaya to Eric Edwards, sweeper keeping, not needed, as he recovers this ball on the edge of his own penalty area. Catapults this one toward the feet of Samuel Cáceres. Toward an overlapping Dylan Woods. Dylan brought down, clean tackle. No complaints there. Second one, certainly an infraction. A deja vu moment. We've already seen a free kick from this sort of distance, albeit at a much wider angle. We had earlier seen a 25-yard free kick turned into a driven ground pass that ultimately resulted in New York Renegades FC's second corner kick. So in this second free kick, we'll see if something comes off the training ground, as the set piece taker faces a two-man wall. The referee telling said wall to move farther back. Once again, OJ Bedward, the man at the far post, maybe the target man in this situation given his stature advantage. Left-footed toward the first post, goalkeeper saves, still chaos inside the 18-yard box. Brooklyn FC clearing it away. Munoz with a great save toward his first post. Still not out of danger, OJ Bedward. Francisco Flores back to OJ. Francisco wrestling for the ball and ultimately bringing down his opponent. A foul against New York Renegades FC. Again, some slippery conditions here. That could also result in more fouls being called, as Munoz delivers this left-footed free kick into the enemy half. Yo-Yo Alexander using his chest to deliver that pass. Poposi, physical defending, still with New York Renegades FC. The Renegades cut short. Physical shove, two of them in fact, as Brooklyn FC makes its way toward the halfway line, trying to find Ravine. Unfortunately for him, the ball never connected to him, cut short by the midfielders of New York Renegades FC. Yo-Yo chipping the pass, I believe, toward Francisco Flores, as the Long Islanders looking for an early advantage, perhaps an infraction that was not whistled appropriately at the time. A belated call by the official. A unanimous, I should say, a full-on wail from the away side bench. As Ewert asks to switch the play, asking for a back pass. As Brooklyn FC goes for the more offensive option, trying to find Ravine Perrick. Ravine, unable to do much, hoping that his left winger has different luck. It is important to note that Brooklyn FC is playing without Dominik Brulinski, a name from last season and season prior, as he's dealing with an injury at this moment. An important name to the midfield as well as front line, for that matter, Brooklyn FC. Although here they have a chance inside the penalty area, crossed. Eric Edwards intercepts with a basket catch. Although all in vain, as that ball had already gone out of play, if not was already offside. Regardless, taken quickly to Garcia. Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo asking for an overlap. Garcia back to Sebastian, who's brought down. A clean tackle, though Sebastian still resides there on the pitch before picking himself up. With OJ, the target man is certainly in aerial situations. Crossed by Samuel Cáceres. Over to Junior Rosero, who was probably only half a body offside. Good attention to detail from the assistant referee on the far end of our angle. This broadcast has been brought to you as well by Salt Athletic. Salt Athletic has made the Air Case, the world's freshest, most advanced cleat bag that blocks smell by using antimicrobial technology that makes for odor-free car rides and houses. Salt Athletic is offering the Game and Frame community an exclusive discount, so scan the QR code on your screen to get 10% off and keep it fresh. As OJ once more in possession of the ball. Garcia looking for a lobbed pass. Garcia's wishes are granted, but it's really physical marking from Brooklyn FC that doesn't allow for any fruition. Excellent marking from Ewert as we are past the 20th minute mark. Very impressive defending from Brooklyn FC. So far, only one shot on target in this game, that one coming from a free kick situation. Not too long ago, a free kick from give or take 22 yards away from goal, directly toward Muñoz's first post. Francisco Flores, unable to keep that ball alive. He still wins his side a throw-in. Yo-Yo Alexander. Eric Edwards was leaving his own 18-yard box thinking he would have received the pass. Instead, it's toward the Paraguayan Cáceres. Along the right wing it goes. New York Renegades FC thinking about a cross. He makes his way inside the 18-yard box. It's a save by Muñoz. Double kick save. Ball is still live, however, for the Renegades. Garcia. Sebastian. Back to Garcia. Left-footed cross inside the penalty area. Clearance. Brooklyn FC. A very desperate lob to get the ball away from the 18-yard box. Francisco Flores intercepts. To Cáceres. Still attacking that right-hand side, taken away cleverly by Brooklyn FC. As he's able to win a throw-in as well. 2 shots on target, 2 saves for Muñoz. Francisco Flores, unable to fully intercept, but he has Yo-Yo helping him out from right behind. Sebastian feints the first shot, going for the second, lets it fly, and it just barely misses the mark as well. Not a bad effort from about 30 yards out. Currently, it's New York Renegades FC that continues knocking on the door. Lobbed toward the left-hand side of Brooklyn FC. It goes out of play for a New York Renegades throw-in. Controlled by Cáceres to Eric Edwards. Edwards. Right-footed pass toward OJ. Switch play from OJ. Directly toward Cáceres. Cáceres. That right-hand side currently being exploited by New York Renegades FC. It will be something that the Brooklyn FC head coach for today may have to fix into the second half, assuming it continues this way, as John Massey is the coach for Brooklyn FC2 for today. In other words, New York Renegades FC's right-hand side, Brooklyn FC's left-hand side. Throw-in. Taken in a semi-long manner as OJ, trying to poke the ball away, is unable to successfully prod. As Junior Rosero with a half spin almost outsmarts his man, but that center back marking him was just a step ahead. I believe that was Adaus. As it's still with Brooklyn FC, evading 2 challenges. That could be a free kick. Yes, it will be a free kick. Intelligently won. A foul out of desperation. There's not much that New York Renegades FC could complain about. Very evident. And not to mention a perhaps profitable position for the Brooklynites. This is a free kick from 19 yards out. No more, no less. As he faces a two-man wall. Brooklyn FC looking to break this 0-0 deadlock with this free kick toward that first post, soaring over the crossbar. Opting for pure power. Brooklyn FC unable to register a shot on target for now. That was Lars Vanderlop wearing the number 29 on his back. Cáceres to Yo-Yo. Yo-Yo Alexander. To Cáceres, back to Yo-Yo. Garcia letting his teammate know as to who is open at this moment, which was OJ, as Garcia hopes that Sebastián Restrepo wouldn't have been sandwiched. Too late for those wishes as Sebastián fills in that fullback role for Garcia, who has the ball in his hands, playing it toward his Colombian number 7. Back to the number 12, OJ. The South American Cáceres toward his Jamaican compatriot for the New York Renegades FC, Eric Edwards. Rosero using the outside part of his foot. Not enough spin behind it, as Sebastián apologizes to Junior for not having been better positioned. A good sense of accountability on this side. Flores wins the throw-in. Still with Garcia. To OJ. As Bedward plays it toward his right-hand side, where Cáceres is waiting. Edwards leaving his 18-yard box, sprinting toward the sphere, and putting this ball back into play, hoping to assault that right-hand side of Brooklyn FC. And that's excellent dribbling by Adaus, escaping from two challenges at the same time. Very clever from the Brooklynite player. Actually, that was Vanderlop. Allow me to correct that statement. Number 29, not to be confused for number 47, according to the roster presented to us. As Yaya Etch asks for some reinforcement in that middle third. Currently playing a near solo game of keep away as Ravim Perrick likewise tries to interfere. Ball rolls out of play, throw in for Brooklyn FC. As we are past the halfway mark of the first half in reality, make sure to stay tuned during the upcoming halftime break to catch the latest nominees for March's Goal of the Month. And while you're at it, also make sure to follow Game in Frame on Instagram at Game in Frame for the latest in Northeast grassroots soccer, as Brooklyn FC wins itself a free kick in its own half. This is the first fixture, time-wise, in the Northeast American North Conference. So the de facto season opener for the conference as a whole, not necessarily for the competition. Ball bouncing over the head of Cáceres. Eric Edwards barks his orders, opts to recover the ball with his feet. the weather continues to be a little bit cold, 48 degrees Fahrenheit. Francisco Flores avoiding a sandwich, left-footed pass, almost a little too ambitious, but Dylan Woods is able to backtrack just enough, as well as dodge a couple tackles. But Brooklyn FC wins the ball back in the middle third. Ewert not opting to waste any time, booting that away. Renegades to rebuild the play, rebuild the momentum. Along the right wing, Dylan Woods crossing it. Rosero would have been the target man toward the near post. Fortunately for the Long Islanders, they've won themselves a third corner kick in this first half. And once again, you have to talk about O.J. Bedward here. Perhaps the most intimidating player when it comes to these corner kick situations, given his height. Likewise, you also have to think about Samuel Cáceres. Speaking of which, toward Cáceres it goes, just barely missing his head. Sebastián Restrepo playing some low pressure alongside Garcia. Garcia backtracks, counterattack for Brooklyn. It's a 1-on-2. That could be a foul. That is a foul. The question is, will the referee take out a card? And to that question, it's a quick yes. The skipper himself booked. That's Yo-Yo Alexander. Hard to really go against those, especially when it looks like you're the last man standing. The referee merely doing his job. As Yo-Yo officially goes down in the books with a yellow card in this season debut. Play toward the edge of the penalty area, still with Brooklyn FC, thinking about the volley, cleared away. New York Renegades FC, now delivering a counter here, resting on the feet of Sebastián Restrepo, going toward Junior Rosero, a little too far. Rosero laying it back for Francisco Flores, way too powerful, over the bar. That's something that they'd want back. As now Brooklyn FC can restart this game. And allow me to correct myself, that was Oscar Rivas with the number 24 on his back, nicknamed Toldo. So it's Rivas who would once again like that opportunity. It's going to be hard to find those, however. As Francisco Flores is playing the right back role, it's Toldo Rivas who is in charge of linking up those plays from the middle third to the final third, getting stamped by a cleat, specifically Ravine Perix. Christian Garcia to Yo-Yo Alexander. The captain with the yellow card for now. Merely has to be careful about those committing tackles, as we are past the half-hour mark, well beyond it. In fact, nearly 3 minutes past it, as Sebastián Restrepo lets the ball slip by. Most definitely the saturated conditions playing a factor, as the Colombian does just enough for OJ to evade two. Excellent dribbling from the center back, now turning himself into a winger, goes down. That's a clean tackle. All ball. Ravine with Sebastián tightly marking him. As Munoz telling his defenders to play the pass shorter. This will certainly be a hefty learning moment for Brooklyn FC, going up against a team that already has so much history in this conference, let alone in the entire competition, all whilst sporting or featuring lots of youth players, lots of academy players at this moment, according to the words of head coach John Massey. Likewise, it goes to show that these youngsters are able to put up a fight against these veterans. It's still 0-0. Nobody has scored yet. So far, the Brooklynites have been defensively sound, as Eric Edwards plays the ball toward the safest option in the form of OJ. OJ to Tordo. Oscar Rivas has Cáceres open on the right-hand side, and in fact plays it toward Cáceres as Cristian Garcia. Maybe a little unhappy with OJ's decision, and one could understand that, as Ruiz Restrepo as well as Garcia are left completely unmarked on the left-hand side for the Renegades. Taken away by the Brooklynites. Ravine, quick link-up play toward Yaya. Played forward. Eric Edwards may be needed. Eric Edwards picking up the ball just in time. Perhaps the second most dangerous moment in favor of Brooklyn FC. The first, of course, being that free kick. It was Loris Vanderlop who timed his run, as that's a crunching tackle to strip the ball away from Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo. OJ returning the favor with a tackle from behind. Ravine gets away from Garcia. Ravine through pass, and just a little too forward for Eric Edwards to intercept. As he makes his way toward the halfway line, now passing it. And make no confusion, that's Francisco Flores, number 15. Flores to Dylan Woods. Back to Flores, looking for a crossing option toward that near post. Munoz able to interfere. 10 minutes left until the halftime whistle, assuming there is no stoppage time that will be aggregated. Sky high that ball goes. Sky high twice as Torlo Rivas plays it back toward OJ Bedward. To Cáceres now. Well, the question is, can Brooklyn FC do it on a slightly rainy, cold Long Island turf? As so far, the Renegades have had the more fruitful offensive options, as that cross is driven toward the first post, aimed toward the vicinity of Junior Rosero, cleared away, however, by Adaus. Another physical challenge. A Renegade goes down as the ball just slips past the player in black. Played back toward Cáceres. As Cáceres once more was trying to feed Jonathan Silveira, wearing the number 45 on his back. Silveira has Francisco Flores to take this throw in instead. Yo-Yo would be the safest option. Instead, a little more ambitious toward Rosero. The ball prodding the ball out of play, I believe, was Francisco Flores. A lot of white jerseys. Still with New York Renegades FC, however. Nothing has changed since the initial whistle. Still 0-0. Rosero chipping it back. Torlo trying to interfere. Yo-Yo unable to do so as well. Another counterattack that Cristian Garcia can control. In fact, he dribbles it outward. Eric Edwards offering himself for a back pass. Instead, Garcia dribbling himself nearly into a hole, able to escape the first challenge, plays it toward OJ. OJ wasting no time, switching the play. However, this is risky. High kicking infraction, perhaps. No, referee blows the whistle. And we'll see where this foul is marked. Well, you cannot come any closer than that. If somehow we were on the field right there, exactly on it, most people's toes would cross over into the 18-yard box, assuming you would place the balls of your feet right there where the ball is placed. You cannot come any closer. This is practically an 18-yard free kick. The closest free kick of the night so far. And I doubt you can come any closer. So standing over the ball is Chris Faposi. So Chris Faposi stands over it. He has a nearby option instead. Goes for a left-footed shot under the barrier. No. Second one, way wide. Eric Edwards not needing his gloves for a save so far in this game. Eric Edwards himself has a handful of interceptions and caught crosses, but he has yet to register an official save, unlike Munoz, who already has 2. And if I'm not mistaken, both of those required his legs rather than his gloves. Well, actually, I may have to take that back because the first shot on target did come from a free kick, to which he dived toward his near post, but perhaps the more spectacular save, stopping a shot from inside his own 18-yard box, right outside his 6-yard box, in fact, required a double-legged kick save. Dylan Woods. It's still with New York Renegades FC outside the penalty area. Yo-Yo Alexander lobbing it wide toward his right-hand side. Cáceres trying to feed his midfielders. Driving it toward the edge of the 18-yard box. Rosero, quick 1-2s. Rosero once more the target. However, he had already gone out of play, I believe, in an offside position. As we'll see what's to be changed here. Well, it looks like they're going to override that call. It will be, in fact, a corner kick. So the assistant referee correcting the initial decision, the referee conceding to that. As we also see an equipment change here. 4th corner kick in this first half for New York Renegades FC. With just a little under 5 minutes left until the halftime whistle, assuming there is no stoppage time. Lots of bodies toward that near post. Instead, this one going toward the second. Cleared away. Rosero keeping the ball alive. Junior Rosero bouncing off the foot of a Brooklynite defender, Cristian Garcia. Garcia dodges 2 tackles. That second tackle maybe just getting a piece of the ball. Garcia returning the favor with Toldo, who goes down looking for the penalty. The referee not abiding to such theatrics, as here comes Brooklyn FC. Sebastian Restrepo toward the latest defensive change. We're suddenly seeing Dylan Woods go from right winger to left back. So switching sides as well as switching positions. OJ going on a little trek of his own, through pass toward the right wing. Sebastian Restrepo tried threatening that side of the field. So a slight in-game change here. Sebastian is playing as a right winger. Junior stays at the forward role. As we'll try to confirm who's playing that left wing role. Although I'm inclined to say it's Dylan Woods again, given that he's now in the opposition's back line, in his front line. OJ, once more, dribbling into enemy territory. OJ, having to shrug off the challenge of Ravim Peric. The Uruguayan Silveira, playing it back to Yo-Yo Alexander. Cáceres. Cáceres toward Sebastian. Sebastian driving it forward along the right wing, cross toward the first post, cleared away. 5th corner kick. New York Renegades Football Club doing everything right when it comes to the creativity, just missing that killing blow. Unlike last season, in which New York Renegades FC was a goal-scoring machine, amongst the best in the nation. Crossed toward that near post, cleared away by Brooklyn FC. Going back to that goal-scoring output by New York Renegades FC, at one point, or I should say at several points in the season, the Renegades were flat out the best in the United Premier Soccer League. as the Brooklynites looking to defend this pass. In fact, they do intercept it from Toldo Rivas to Chris Foposi, toward Ravin Perik. Ravin has several options in the front line. Instead, he wants to dribble it all on his own, trying to draw the foul. Should be a foul. The referee waving it away. It looked like there was an extra piece of contact at the very end of it. Well, to be fair, if the player sold it, he definitely sold it to me. Renegades countering on their own. Shot from outside the 18-yard box, encounters a block. Toldo Rivas looking for some redemption. Not for now, however, as that Renegade is offside. He doesn't realize it. Shooting from an offside position was Cáceres, who with a shot like that, you'd figure would play as a striker, especially from that angle. Going back to the previous tackle, there was some physicality to it, but to me what looked like the foul was the accompanying arm drag, I should say akin to professional wrestling a little bit. As that will be the final touch of the ball from that free kick, and the scoreline remains the same. 0-0, neither team welcoming the halftime break with the upper hand, with the advantage. However, before we go to the halftime break, I do want to remind you that the American Premier Soccer League Metropolitan Conference will have a triple header awaiting you. Of course, on Game and Frame here tomorrow, April 6th. Starting at 12:15 p.m., 8th place Zoomschneider FC attempts to erase the 1-point gap from its 6th place opponent, New York Athletic Club. At 4 p.m., Hoboken FC has the chance to expand its comfortable 5th place standing against a second to last place Richmond County FC that is in dire need of points to avoid relegation. Lastly, 11th place Central Park Rangers hopes to snap its 5-game winless streak, but standing in its way at 9 p.m. is top of the table New York Pan Cyprian Freedoms. All these matches will be broadcast exclusively here on Game in Frame, your home for grassroots soccer. Once again, neither side welcomes the halftime break with a lead with the upper hand. At the end of 45 minutes of UPSL action, it is New York Renegades FC 0, Brooklyn FC 2 0. Stay with us as we present the Goal of the Month nominees, Plays of the Week, Halftime Analysis, and the second half. You are watching the United Premier Soccer League on Game in Frame.
Watch the strike on here. Oh, it's a tempting one from Baudenbacher!
Travis Van Brewer is back on. There's a shot! What a shot! CPR back on top! Fayez Merchant!
An inward swinger, right-footed, toward the far post, bouncing up ahead of an FC Westchester player. Oh! What a goal! Goal! Golazo! FC Westchester! A stunning bicycle kick.
Okay, looking to buy himself a free kick. Referee not fooled by that. Charnas, lovely first touch. And a searching ball. Kawasi cuts inside. Oh, it's a glorious second goal for Manhattan Celtic. A super ball by Charnas. And by Kawasi, brought it down and finished sublimely.
Harasabovic sends it long for Kurcic. He chests it down, has a shot over the head and into the net. What a goal! Incredible work to tie this game for Sunchak. It's level at 1.
That's Milton. Shot on goal. Oh my word! Off the upright. Had great dip, good power.
Good touch by Albi Rexa. Tries to get it back. Down the other way. Go International. Is there space to keep that one in? It is Ryan on the far side. Hunting for something. Has a shot. What a goal! My goodness! Picks out the top corner. International have a lead. 3-1v2, 3v3 now. Cam Park coming back to provide some reinforcement. Mark the strike. Mark the goal! A beautiful strike. A hammer.
Good turn there and the shot. And a goal! What a beautiful turn and finish!
Bonviel has the ball, takes a shot, rips it from outside the 18 and goal!
From perhaps that defensive error. Still with Paxton. Paxton to toward Dagan. Dagan inside the 18-yard box. Dribbles away from 2, 3. Dagan! Goal for Brooklyn United!
Munoz has moved out to the right. Rio, just enough of a touch back heel. Cook Jr. Could be a shot. Hurtado Gomes, 1-0. His 9th goal of the season for Tomas de Andrade Gomes. Comes inside from left wing, finishes to the left side of the net. Good finish, clean finish, 1-0 Zoom Schneider.
Suarez, Saluga, trying to go through. Oh my word! It's Merchant again! Oh, he's got the brace!
Of today, especially in the second half. FC Westchester. Oh! What a missile! FC Westchester with a tremendous goal. 2-2.
Spin the shoulders and start the counter. What a ball to Verma. And that ball's hit. What a strike! My goodness! What a hit from Luke Hill.
You have just watched the latest Goal of the Month candidates, and in case you want to rewatch, you can check those out on Instagram at GameInFrame. Once you've got yourself a favorite, make sure to let us know in the comment section which goal scorer should take home the Goal of the Month award and air case by Salt Athletic Prize before tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. Again, go to the comment section before 11:59 p.m. tomorrow and let us know which one is your favorite at GameInFrame on Instagram.
Start the counter. What a ball to Verma. And that ball's hit. What a strike! My goodness! What a hit from Luke Hill.
By Jaite. He's pushing forward. The ball's taken away. He gets it back. What a save! Another save by Clerion. A great 2 saves by Clerion Nunez.
Munoz has moved out to the right. Rio, just enough of a touch back heel. Cook Jr. Could be a shot. Hurtado Gomes, 1-0. His 9th goal of the season for Tomas de Andrade Gomes.
Trujillo! What a save, Nick Savic!
Rahi looking for the ball while he's in an offside position though. Pastrana gets past one with a cheeky little ball through the legs of the defender.
Urban lofts the ball in and it hits the crossbar! And he can be a hero! It bounces in, referee says goal!
Lost just outside the middle third. Here comes IFA. One more time, it's Whiteley! Swatting it away with one hand!
Block FC trying to find their second goal, and the shot is up and in!
Looking forward. Wilson Edwards with a chip ball and it's off the bar and in!
Salt Athletic, who are keeping it fresh, and we thank them so much. Burkanovic, Jetmir Kovacevic does really well.
Pouncing on all the loose balls. Lovely ball played over the top. Running in behind is Westchester, floated to the back, knotted in. A hat trick for the danger man Lucchini.
Nice ball in back. Howard tries. Ryan sends it back in and scores!
Resnick gets a cross in. Oh, Lou headed back across. Oh, 2 for Colonia.
Has now played toward the offensive midfielder as it's Whiteley. Stops the first, stops the second. Fantastic stop! That's a fabulous double save.
He's using his muscle. Now he can run at goal. Can he get a shot off on target? An excellent tackle by Gonzalez. Last ditch.
Touch and hit. Low into that far post. What a strike.
Andre Gomes behind the striker. Back to Andre Gomes. Can they link up for 2-1? Andre Gomes, his second of the night. A brace.
My name is Austin Brummett. I'm a men's soccer player at San Diego State University and I play forward. The Salt Air Case helps block odor from my cleats when I'm driving in my car or when I'm keeping my cleats inside my house, so I don't have to worry about it stinking up my room. It helps me keep track of my cleats and my shin guards so I know that they're together and I don't have to worry about tracking them down or losing them or stressing out about where they are. I would definitely rock this, walking to the games, walking around to my trainings. And it's super helpful for travel. When I travel in the airport to go to away games, it's not going to stink up my backpack or stink up the plane where I'm sitting. Magnetic strip on the top is super easy to open to take my cleats out and to put my cleats back in. I think it's an essential part of my outfit for soccer and helps keep all my stuff organized and stink-free.
A quality highlight reel is crucial for college and pro recruitment. A lot of services offer generic solutions, but at Game & Frame we know every player is unique and needs a personalised approach to win over coaches. Our process is simple. We work with any footage, and if you need help finding your best plays, we'll review games for you. Once we've finished, you'll have a reel you can upload to any recruitment platform. We've helped hundreds of players get the attention they deserve, including placements in Division 1 programs. Scan the QR code or email us for a free consultation and start the journey to maximize your recruitment potential.
As we're live here again in Long Island, New York, the halftime score being 0-0 between these two sides from Brooklyn FC and New York Renegades FC. So both teams, of course, need their own methods, their own paths to success. But what do they need to do in order to forge said paths? We could start first with the away side, Brooklyn Football Club 2. So it's no secret that in this match, it's been New York Renegades FC that's largely controlled possession, ball time, let alone ball time in the opposition's half. However, there's one thing that Brooklyn FC has done well, or two things you could argue, especially well. One, they're sustaining the pressure well and they need to uphold a strong back line. They've been able to do that this entire time, especially along the widths. However, most importantly, goals scored will win you this game. And in order to do so, New York Renegades FC must be careful in not conceding too many counterattacks from the Brooklynites. So in other words, for Brooklyn FC to, its key to the game will certainly be counterattacking the back line of New York Renegades FC that likes to participate in a lot of build-up play where at points in the game there are only 2-to-1 defender alone in the back line. Meanwhile, for New York Renegades FC, it's to keep an eye on this fact as well as to aggregate or add numbers into the final third. That's normally something you wouldn't hear with New York Renegades FC, but this is the first game of the season. Maybe some season debut hiccups, some little jitters, and that's okay. That being said though, in order to find or really solidify a goal-scoring chance, they need to add numbers, the Renegades, into the opposition's third. They're controlling a lot of the game in the middle third, but they need to find that transition into the final third, and in order to do so, they need to start adding more and more white jerseys. But of course, they must be careful. They can't be too reckless. But of course, this is the New York Renegades FC squad we're talking about, filled with talent. Lots of names from last season that helped accomplish that aforementioned history in the UPSL Northeast American North Conference. As it will be New York Renegades FC that restarts this game for this second half with the ball at its feet first. The referee taking a peek at his stopwatch, the assistant referee giving a thumbs up, the other assistant referee doing the same, as Junior Rosero will get this ball rolling. One more thumbs up from the lead referee as Rosero gets the ball rolling toward Toldo Rivas. Rosero trying to stun Munoz from the halfway line. Technically a shot on target. Technically Munoz's third save in this game. Some statisticians won't count that as a save. I like to give the benefit of the doubt when it comes to stats to the goalkeeper. Save number 3. As Yo-Yo has to be careful with that challenge. Brooklyn FC whiffing the pass at first, but good recovery from the Brooklynite, playing it out wide before it's taken away momentarily. Specifically referring to the midfielder, wears the number 31 on his back, to which we're trying to confirm soon. Likewise, we're trying to keep an eye on the substitutions for the second half, but before we're able to do so, Silveira attacks that left-hand side, has Rosero helping him out alongside Dylan Woods. Rosero stopping, pausing, thinking about the shot, takes the shot. Excellent block by Brooklyn FC. Clearance making its way over the head of the forward. More specifically, Yaya Etch donning the number 40. Eric Edwards, the neon yellow goalkeeper, playing it toward his left back, who should be Cristian Garcia. But let's keep a note, or let's note, I should say, that in the first half we did see some position changes. At one point, Cristian Garcia was playing as a left winger. Dylan Woods was playing as a left back, despite his initial right wing position. Lots of changes here, trying to keep the opposition on its toes, as in fact it is the opposition in black that has possession of the ball. Great pass by the Brooklynite, Raveen Perrick. All in vain, however. New York Renegades FC along the left wing, looking for a goal-scoring chance. Playing it inside the 18-yard box, going for a shot, and it just barely misses the mark. Some last-second interference from the back line. Somehow, a black jersey was able to interfere at the last second with that shot from Silveira. It looked like a sure-to-be goal, but we talked about how firm this Brooklynite backline has been. However, they'll be put to the test once more. Corner kick, played quickly, toward the first post, cleared. Second chance here for New York Renegades FC. Once more outside the 18-yard box. An early lob, diving header, barely missing it. Not a bad effort at all from, I believe, O.J. Bedward. But there is a Renegade down on the ground on the far hand side. And that was Cristian Garcia, who was back to his own 2 feet. Garcia a trip and a half away from his normal left back positioning. The skipper with the number 8, winning the aerial duel. Silveira did draw the foul. Referee signaled for advantage, thinking about a long-range shot. Munoz had it covered. Trickling a couple of yards wide, but it still put the goalkeeper on his toes, still forced him into a precautionary dive. The Scarlet netminder playing the goal kick short. Aggressive defending from Dylan Woods and co. Silveira not able to get there first. Yo-Yo Alexander with some help from Toldo Rivas. Rivas outside the 18-yard box, playing it toward the Uruguayan. Silveira letting it fly with the left foot, initially blocked by, I believe, Ezekiel Rolland. If not for Posi Cris. From this angle, not too clear who got the block, although I am inclined to say it was Chris Foposi. Cáceres. Lobbing it toward his right winger. I believe that ball went out of play. The assistant referee agreeing with that assessment. It was toward Francisco Flores. Goal kick. Once again, Ñoño winning those aerial duels. That could be another key to the game that is somewhat understated or underrated, if you want to put that in quotation marks. Played all the way back to O.J. Bedward. Now to Samuel Cáceres. Still with Samuel Cáceres. Cáceres lobbing this one toward the left wing. A Renegade chasing it down, still trying to keep it alive. Somehow he does. Although it had already trickled out by the time he delivered it. It's a goal kick once more for the Brooklyn Knights. Not a bad idea, however, from Samuel Cáceres, who I believe is now also wearing the captain's armband. So the second captain of the team, in other words. A no-nonsense clearance, driven forward. Silveira, the Uruguayan. Playing it toward the right-hand side. Francisco Flores. Francisco pausing, thinking about it, crossing it. No! Going for a near-post shot, and it nearly pays off. Stunned me, nearly stunned Munoz. Perhaps just an inch or two wide, nothing more, nothing less. An audacious effort from the number 15 of New York Renegades FC, and it was the right choice to make. Once again, he was waiting for numbers to appear in the final third. That's something we talked about in the halftime break during the halftime analysis. Not enough numbers in the final third. There's a sufficient amount or number of white jerseys in the middle third, but they need to start adding more into that 18-yard box. Still the Francisco Flores with the right decision. A Brooklynite down on the ground. Renegades, Yo-Yo, right-footed lob, dealt with. It was Ewart with the clearance now. Yaya Etch using the top of his thigh to play the ball. Back to Yaya Etch using the outside part of his foot. The Brooklynite counter is on. He breaks away from one perhaps. Eric Edwards outside his 18-yard box. The referee quick to wave away the foul. No foul, says the referee. And chaos may break out here. And this is a good referee. At least he's establishing discipline. Even if you disagree with the decision, the fact that he was quick to establish discipline to prevent any fight from breaking out, that is good arbitrating at the end. Now, as to whether it was a foul or not, that's a very iffy call, and a call that I think most referees would prefer not to make. But he seemed firm in his final decision. So firm, in fact, that he's delivered a yellow card to that Brooklyn player. Most likely for dissent. That was Oscar Garces who got booked. As Eric Edwards can restart this game. So again, Oscar Garces gets the booking for dissent. And one could hardly blame him. Those are one of those 50-50 calls that could go either way. Depends your referee on the day, on the night. Flores now attacking the right-hand side. Unfortunately for him, the ball goes a little too wide, a little too far. As that's played toward Teneda. Eric Teneda, dispossessed, flicked back toward the Uruguayan Silveira. Silveira toward Dylan Woods, who blocks the first clearance. Munoz making sure that ball is recovered in favor of the players in black. Although, there is a Renegade down, and I believe that was Dylan Woods. Perhaps the wind getting knocked out of him. After all, he did block that clearance at point-blank range. I can imagine it's nothing more severe, or at least we hope that. And in the meanwhile, we'd like to remind you that this broadcast has been brought to you by Salt Athletic. Salt Athletic has made the world's freshest, most advanced cleat bag, the Air Case, that blocks smell by using antimicrobial technology that makes for odor-free car rides and houses. Salt Athletic is offering the Game and Frame community an exclusive discount, so scan the QR code on your screen to get 10% off and keep it fresh. As Dylan Woods is back on his own 2 feet. And for the first time in a while, I believe that's an aerial duel openly lost by New York Renegades FC. They've really controlled that middle third, but it's all a matter of transition. There's no doubt that possession has been controlled by New York Renegades FC, but it's really what you do with it that counts. So far, the scoreline remains the same, despite the fact that Munoz already has 3 saves. Dylan Woods flicking it over one defender, that one defender recovering the ball. And drawing the foul simultaneously. His right shoulder was grabbed. And if I'm not mistaken, he might have been stamped at the end of that challenge as well by the sole of a Renegade cleat. Going on a left-sided run as Alexander Melgar, the Ecuadorian defender, to Foposi Cris. Foposi! Fooling practically 3 players simultaneously, not only his teammate, but 2 Renegades at the same time. Excellent move by the holding midfielder. Unfortunately for him, possession goes back in favor of New York Renegades FC. BKFC right outside the penalty area. Eric Danela goes down. Referee says no foul, of course. Clean challenge. Rosero thought he was the initial target. Instead, played toward another winger in the form of Dylan Woods. Again, not enough numbers in that final third. We saw it there in that instance. It was just Dylan Woods and Junior Rosero, and 2 players are hardly going to beat a back line of 4. Albeit, or notwithstanding their talent. These are tremendous players, but you can't expect 2 vanguard players to beat a back line of 4 more often than not. As Dylan Woods as well as Francisco Flores inch closer and closer to the opposition's back line. Cáceres in the driver's seat. Cáceres toward Rosero. Right-footed pass. A skipping one at that. And it's a giveaway. Counter for Brooklyn FC. Could be on. Foul. No, says the referee. We can see that the Brooklyn Nets are trying to halt the rhythm of this game, trying to change it in their favor by drawing these fouls. I would say the success rate is closer to 2/3, but we just saw that 33% or 33.33% that hasn't worked. A sliding pass over toward that right-hand side, taken away, given back via a free kick. It was Oscar Garces who was brought down illegally. The fact that Brooklyn FC, with a myriad of academy players, is truly going toe-to-toe with the 2-time regular season champion of the Northeast American North Conference, New York Renegades FC, is applaudable. Served toward the edge of the penalty area. Still with the black jersey. He's onside, or so we thought. The assistant referee lifting it at the last second. Otherwise, it would have been a shot well wide by Alexander Melgar, the Ecuadorian defender. So he was offside just outside the 18-yard box. Scoreline still 0-0. Nothing has changed since the initial second of this game. Eric Edwards with one official save. Wilson Munoz, on the other hand, with a triplet of those. One of which was a stunning double-legged kick save. Francisco Flores crossing it with the right foot toward the far post, toward Rosero, unable to bring it down. It almost turns it into a pass, cleared away by the Brooklynites. A nice first touch by the Renegade, who immediately gets sandwiched by two, even nutmegs a man with that pass. Cáceres, relying on that left-hand side, Oscar Garcés. The first player to pressure that side. Instead, he switches roles with Ravin Peric. Cáceres. A short pass down the middle, taken away by Brooklyn FC. And once again, another free kick in favor of Brooklyn FC, breaking down the Renegades' tempo with a little bit of stoppage of their own, I should say, drawing these free kicks. Not something we had seen too many times in the first half, but let's note as well that they did have the closest free kick of the game, maybe of the season, with an 18-yard free kick. One that was parallel, practically right next to the penalty arc. As this one is served high into the opposition's third. OJ Bedward. Oh, you're hardly going to beat that mountain. As now Francisco Flores goes toward Dylan Woods, who while slipping was trying to nutmeg his pass past the defender, who now has to retreat. That defender specifically being Ezekiel Rolland. Ravin has Melgar. And said Yaya. Wasn't that too much ball time so far in this second half? This has been a game of possession and defense. Possession for New York Renegades FC, defense for Brooklyn FC 2. Yaya giving away the ball in the middle third. Exactly where New York Renegades FC profits most. Francisco Flores, driven cross along the ground. Dylan Woods for a moment had a golden opportunity. Last second tackle as well by Brooklyn FC, clearing it forward, turning this into a counter perhaps as Yaya lets that ball go, to the dismay of his fellow player, Sebastian or Bossy George. Sebastian George on paper, known as Bossy affectionately. Francisco Flores, another cross-gone shot. This one not as close as the first, but not a million miles away either. As I believe there's a personnel change here. Currently seeing a white jersey on the sidelines with a number 11 on his back. So Angelo Puerto Quintanilla will be entering the game. We'll see who has left the match. It's an offensive change. Couldn't catch who had left. As now we can confirm it was Cristian Garcia who had left the game. So a defender gone winger for a winger who could also drop back quite a bit. We'll see where Angelo Puerto Quintanilla would like to play in this game, but for now, he's filling in a fullback role at this moment from this free kick situation. 3, if not 4, consecutive free kicks in favor of Brooklyn FC, all of which occurring in its own half. And the assistant referee has pointed to the corner kick spot. First corner kick of this second half for Brooklyn FC. The man toward the far post with a number 44 on his back. Trying to catch as well who that is. It's Alexander Melgar. So Melgar alongside Yaya Etch are toward the far post. Not too many black jerseys inside the 18-yard box, only counting 5 at this moment, served toward the first post bouncing wide, still inside the 18-yard box. Clever flick. Teneda trying to control it, maybe just a little too long, a little too much. Ravine Peric. Teneda caught in a game of keep away. And switching the play is Silveira. The Uruguayan. Lob toward that left-hand side. Accelerating just enough to keep the ball alive. And I think that was a missed touch. You don't get to see that often from New York Renegades FC. Wanted to feint the step over, and at the end it turned into a pass for the opposition. Call that a missed pass or call that a missed touch. The result is the same. Although Eric Edwards has something to say about that. Francisco Flores. Or I should say Torlo Rivas. Dropping back quite a ton. Meanwhile, Francisco Flores playing as a right winger, although starting this game as a right back. So this supposed back line of 4 quickly turns into one of 3, and on occasion 2, as Cáceres moves forward, the Paraguayan Cáceres to Francisco Flores, back to Cáceres, right-footed drive toward the far post, headed high, and Muñoz can catch this one inside his own 6-yard box. Rivas doing all he can to win back the ball, and it suffices here. New York Renegades FC unable to penetrate that back line, however. As Brooklyn FC had, for a moment, had something building, had something going on there. It's quickly cut short. As Cáceres plays this one toward O.J. Bedward. O.J. Bedward toward Henry Martinez. The Honduran midfielder. One of a couple substitutions here in the second half. Francisco Flores driven toward the near post, instead on the edge of the 18-yard box. Driven forward, Chul trying to take it away, and instead Muñoz stops the chaos. A lot of traffic, probably 5 black jerseys surrounding Silveira, who somehow evaded one challenge initially, but he didn't account for a quintuplet of Brooklynites. As Melgar wins the throw-in. As Samuel Cáceres, the captain for now, given that Yo-Yo Alexander's been replaced, trying to reanimate his side despite the 0-0 scoreline. Of course, Samuel Cáceres trying to instill a we are undefeatable mentality. A draw for New York Renegades FC could feel like a loss. That's the sort of mindset that this team has established. And it's probably the leading reason, at least from a psychological standpoint, as to why New York Renegades FC has found so much success in recent seasons. Again, we are talking about 3 consecutive playoff conference titles, 2 regular season conference titles. Melgar. Oh, nearly a nasty crash. Cáceres' shoulder, almost knocking Eric Teneda. Brooklyn FC winning more and more aerial duels as they enter inside the penalty area. Eric Edwards with a save. However, the referee pausing the game, issuing a yellow card. I believe that's O.J. Edward standing over his opponent. A good referee that allows for advantage to take place, namely in the form of that shot on target, the second in this game for Brooklyn FC too. And in this second half, more and more free kicks are being drawn by Brooklyn FC, which could signify 2 things. One, that New York Renegades FC is playing a little more desperately than usual, and or that Brooklyn FC, too, is adapting well to this style of drawing free kicks, pausing the inertia that New York Renegades FC has in its corner, and looking to produce something fruitful of that. I believe that's Bossy taking the free kick. Faces a one-man wall from 21 yards out. Eric Edwards using his fists. And it's Samuel Cáceres that gains the distance with this free kick. An elevated shoulder, called no foul. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla. Quintanilla toward the left wing. Sebastian inside the penalty area. Still with New York Renegades FC. Drop back toward the substitute. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla. Munoz saves. And is able to hold on to the spill as well. Solid goalkeeping from the player in red. And that's a beautiful pass as well. It's a shame it couldn't make its way toward Melgar. Cáceres. Toward Toldo. Oscar Rivas, also known as Toldo affectionately by his team. Play toward the fullback, now toward the winger. New York Renegades FC winning itself a free kick. Breaking up that chain of free kicks in favor of Brooklyn FC. A free kick from, give or take, 30 yards out. A little bit more, a little bit less. As the referee continues adjusting the position of this ball. So far, a one Brooklynite wall, maybe 1.5, considering Ravine Parek's back and forth motion. And now it's officially a one-man wall. Opting for more numbers inside the penalty area. Brooklyn FC not conceding just yet. Still with New York Renegades FC. Ball taken away. Melgar. Melgar dashes, crossing past the halfway line, using the outside part of his foot. Yaya etched the initial target. Ball couldn't connect with him. Melgar had a lot more space than I think he realized. He could have forced a clean 2-on-2 counter rather than a 1-on-2 counter, given that Yaya was playing centrally. The Renegades in the opposition's half on the borderline between the middle third and the final third. Going back to the former, the middle third. Switch play, missing Toldo's foot, but not that of Samuel Cáceres, the player from Asunción, Paraguay, the capital of that South American country. Served toward the edge of the penalty area. The referee waves it away. No foul, no penalty. And that player, Silveira, is quick to get up. And that's a good dummy pass. Still with New York Renegades FC, playing it out wide. Cáceres, the captain for now. Quick flick, 1-2. Francisco Flores, unable to fully chain that pass with his captain. Melgar, half spins, decelerates, another pass cut short. Absolute lockdown as Poposi Cris with a roulette of his own. Uses his left foot to play back toward Ezekiel Rolland. Rolland to Munoz, who has a collection of saves in this game. I'm counting 4. New York Renegades FC recovering the ball in what could be a dangerous area and giving it away as well in the final third inside the penalty area. Well, now it's just a matter of chiseling away at the wall that the Brooklynites have constructed. Cáceres. Cáceres toward Angelo Puerto Quintanilla, now with a nearby midfielder in the form of Henry Martinez. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla evades 2 challenges, but not the third. Poposi. Yaya was a little too locked down in his position. OJ Bedward going for a trick, going for a shot, and it goes wide. Not a bad effort from the center back, considering that the situation is still a 1-point one given this draw at this moment. Still 0-0. And without doubt, The best opportunities of the night have gone in favor of New York Renegades FC. Angelo Puerto Quintanilla receiving the pass from Cáceres. Puerto Quintanilla, Angelo, cutting it inward. Puerto Quintanilla going for a left-footed shot. Melgar or Munoz has to get to the ball. It's the former. Melgar. Clearing it away, Francisco Flores. Controlling with his chest, Toldo Rivas. Toldo receiving a shove in the back, continues to play forward. Left-footed pass, an excellent one at that. If he could keep it in play, and is perhaps just a centimeter or two away. Goal kick, says the referee. As Munoz can take this goal kick. And there are substitutions in effect for Brooklyn FC. Ravine Perrick exits the game after a solid defensive performance. Entering the game is Gen Marali. Cleared forward. Still with New York Renegades FC. In the middle third. Playing wide. Lob toward Francisco Flores. A powerful header. That turns into a through pass of sorts to Angelo Puerto Quintanilla. Quintanilla. Toward Toldo Rivas. Toldo. That's a clever through pass along the left-hand side, inside the penalty area. Lobs it toward the far post. Henry Martinez unable to fully connect. Still chaos inside the 18-yard box. Cut short by a clearance. Oh, yeah, Edge can't lose that ball in the middle third. And he concedes the foul on top of that. And you could perhaps hear it from Munoz, who I believe told his forward that the foul was unnecessary. Just a slight loss of discipline. Free kick played quickly. Cáceres with a lot of space, but encounters a black mural there. The players in the dark kit still doing their work. New York Renegades FC, another opportunity, lets it fly, but likewise it soars over the crossbar. Marali still looking for his first touch on the ball as Oscar Garces, for a moment, had the ball at his feet, but I believe that additional slip from the wet conditions on the field didn't let him fully grasp it. Teneda, backtracking. The same could be said for Gent Marali. Crossed inside the 18-yard box, cleared away only momentarily on the edge of the penalty area. All 10 outfielders of New York Renegades FC is in the opposition's half. And of those 10 outfielders, I want to say about 9 of those are in the final third. Aptly and appropriately adding numbers, forcing its opposition onto its back foot, crossed toward the near post, cleared away once more by the Brooklynites. Desperate defending by Brooklyn, yet it's working out for this brigade as Cáceres thinks to line up a shot. Well, it was either a shot or a very driven cross, but at the end it doesn't matter as he commits the sin in the opposition's 18-yard box. As the Brooklyn FC player still down on the ground, and hopefully it's nothing serious, but he still continues to writhe in pain. As Munoz, alongside his teammates Ezekiel Rowland, as well as Marali, try to console the currently injured Alexander Melgar. In the meanwhile, of course, this is a reminder that during the halftime break, you did watch the latest Goal of the Month candidates. And in case you need a rewatch, you can check those out on Instagram at GameInFrame. And once you've got yourself a favorite, make sure to let us know in the comments section which goal scorer should take home the Goal of the Month and Air Case by Salt Athletic prizes before tomorrow, 11:59 p.m. And while you're at it, do make sure to follow Game in Frame on Instagram at Game in Frame for the latest in Northeast grassroots soccer. As Melgar, on his own accord, marches off the field, albeit with a limp. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. As we are just a little over 10 minutes away from the full-time whistle, still a scoreless affair, maybe to the surprise of many, especially considering New York Renegades' goal-scoring output from last season, as we had described, was amongst the best, if not the flat-out best, in the entire United Premier Soccer League. And we are seeing changes a little bit. As the play can now resume per the referee's discretion. Headed toward the side. Lots of substitutions here in effect for New York Renegades FC. One of those including Cameron Beal. Cameron Beal with his first touch, flicking it backwards. A nifty touch. Dylan Woods. Cross dealt with. Brooklyn FC looking to build something from it. And at this rate, I think Brooklyn FC has to slow down the tempo in its own right. Several counters in a row that have been unsuccessful as that ball goes out of play. Lots of great chemistry in the back line of the Brooklyn side, but not so much in the front line at this moment. But I believe it's due to the nature of this game. It's a defensive heavy game for them. And geographically, one could consider this a derby as well. Another psychological factor. But that is being technical, considering that Brooklyn, Queens, and of course Long Island are all part of the geographical Long Island. But when it comes to sociopolitics, Brooklyn and Queens, of course, are part of New York City. Long Island stands as an independent sort of region with Suffolk and Nassau County. Back to OJ. Cameron Beal making some of his first touches as a New York Renegade. Just outside the penalty area, New York Renegades FC wins the ball via a throw-in. Still with the Renegades, as we are within the final 10-minute stretch. Throw in for Brooklyn FC. And as we mentioned in the initial minutes of this broadcast, Brooklyn FC was one of 11 teams in the UPSL Fall 2024 season with 0 as a goal differential. 18 goals scored, 18 goals conceded. It was amongst the fewest in the entire UPSL. And excluding BKFC, the other teams that also had a goal differential of 0 are as follows: Hodler Miami FC, Naples City FC, Charlotte Soccer Academy, Provo Athletic Club, Philadelphia Union 3, Southern Indiana Guardians FC, Sporting FC, Ocelot Academy, Sporting San Diego, and Southwest SC. Again, it's a very small sample size, considering that this is a competition that has close to 200 competitors. Cáceres pauses, crosses, Brooklyn FC. Still clearing it out of harm's way. OJ, the Big 12. I believe that was Silveira dropping back. Cáceres turning himself into an extra winger alongside Francisco Flores. Cáceres, another driven through pass. Up into the air it goes. OJ Bedward unable to place it on target. A quiet 15, if not 10-minute stretch for Munoz, not required for a direct save in quite a while. Keeping his team alive on multiple counts. Left-footed goal kick just short of the halfway line. Eric Teneda getting slightly stamped. A pass back to the goalkeeper using the chest. He can pick it up now. Burning only a couple seconds. Left-footed dagger pass straight from the hand. Oh, and that's a physical duel. I don't think he looked once for the ball. Perhaps got away there with a foul. We'll see if Cáceres can keep his composure as Cáceres has to backtrack against this young talent. Brooklyn FC outside the 18-yard box, and the ball trickles away in favor of New York Renegades FC. Could be a dangerous touch here. That could be a deadly touch, in fact. New York Renegades FC recuperating the ball. Now inside the penalty area. He's onside, going for the far post. And unable to place it on target. It's a goal kick for Munoz & Co. Again, BKFC2 looking to change its fate from last season, given that they missed the playoffs by just a spot, exactly 4 points. Given that the top 4 teams of the North Subconference take on those of the South Subconference here in the Northeast American Combined Conference. Brooklyn FC 2. So far corralling well the current champions of this conference competition. As we try to confirm who's the Brooklynite who went down. The referee waves it away. He saw no infraction. Eric Edwards toward Cáceres. New York Renegades as well was simultaneously with New Jersey Alliance the first Northeast American Conference team to win back-to-back regular season titles. Of course, New Jersey Alliance did it in the South Subconference, and it hadn't occurred prior to the conference schism that we talked about. So New Jersey Alliance and New York Renegades FC both did it on paper at the same time. This ball going high. That was another excellent cross from Cáceres. Nobody able to complete those crosses at this moment. Just a touch of frustration from the Paraguayan captain of New York Renegades FC. We are within the final 3-minute stretch now. And despite this being a 0-0 game, I can't help but feel that this game has gone by extraordinarily fast. Cameron Beal using his height. Brooklyn FC trying to use its pace. Here it comes attacking along the right-hand side. The players in black. Oh, he's wide open toward the left-hand side. They don't realize it yet. As now he finally connects with the target. Eric Edwards, sweeper keeping. Not even using his hands, using his feet. And that is a moment that Brooklyn FC will replay over and over and over again. What could have been and what should have been a solid goal-scoring chance denied by a belated pass. As the ball belongs to the players in the black jerseys. Thinking about the shot for Posse. Posse evades one, pushes off a second. Pure physicality, gets knocked down. Well, that's no foul by Foposi. Merely using his strength. Another chance. Francisco Flores to Cáceres. Instead, going for the more ambitious option, I believe in the form of Tordo Rivas. If not, another player. Another chance. OJ drawing the foul. Had his right foot clipped at the very end of that sequence. Eric Edwards wasting no time with that free kick, being the quick recipient. Final 75 seconds or so. And it all comes down to this. We'll see how much stoppage time will be added. I can't imagine that there will be much as New York Renegades FC crosses it inside the penalty area off the crossbar. Nearly stunning Munoz, nearly stunning the crowd. Doing everything right. That ball simply doesn't want to go in. Final minute of regulation time play. As Biel receives a shove in the back. Over his head, another opportunity. Munoz can collect this ball inside his own penalty area. And that was a picture-perfect header as well, the one that hit off the crossbar. Just a fraction of an inch off. You can hardly blame the player. With just an ounce less of power, that certainly would have been the 1-0 scoreline. As we have now officially made it past the 90th minute, we are in stoppage time. New York Renegades FC, quick flick inside the penalty area, goes crossed. Munoz shuffling on his goal line inside his 6-yard box. His defense doing its work. Foposi giving away the ball. Another opportunity. New York Renegades FC once more clearing it away is the Brooklyn back line, who for now has been unbeatable, undefeatable. New York Renegades playing the corner kick quickly. Cross toward the far side. Cáceres controlling with the chest. Cáceres, right-footed driven cross, cleared by Brooklyn FC. We could get here some back-to-back corner kicks. And in fact, we are going to get that. A dramatic way to possibly conclude this game. Even Eric Edwards is in the opposition's half. Crossed toward the penalty area. Francisco Flores. Ball continues to bounce around. Ball is still live momentarily. Cameron Beal allowing Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo to get the final touch there. There's a big question mark as to how much stoppage time is left. 90 minutes, or 90 plus minutes, have flown by incredibly fast. Crossed inside the penalty area, goes off the crossbar and in! Goal! Goal! New York Renegades FC! A dangerous header at the end. Francisco Flores. Some final moments of redemption here for New York Renegades FC. The crossbar this time, helping out the home side. 1-0 is now the scoreline. And Brooklyn FC looking for a response in these dying seconds. They deserve a positive result. They do deserve a point. At least from the defensive standpoint, it's absolutely earned for Brooklyn FC. However, it's goals that win you games naturally. Francisco Flores with a last-second header. Foposi. Pass forward. Back to Foposi. Crossing the halfway line. Not too much time left. Another foul drawn by Brooklyn FC. Lots of nail biting in the stands. Regardless of what side one is cheering. A hard-fought victory for New York Renegades FC. A heartbreaking loss for Brooklyn FC. These are some desperate situations, some desperate times for both teams. Crossed on the edge of the penalty area, going over his head. We are now past the 3rd minute of stoppage time. Headed away. Counterattack. Play toward Angelo Puerto Quintanilla. Driven just outside the penalty area. Oh, he's wide open inside the penalty area! Goal! Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo makes it 2-0, 2 stoppage time goals. A quick counterattack from New York Renegades FC punishes this side for a second time. Renegades with some local support. Francisco Flores with the first. Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo with the second. And now the Brooklynites need a double miracle. And that, in fact, will be the last touch of the ball. 2 stoppage time goals save New York Renegades Football Club. 2 stoppage time goals give them their first collection of 3 points in the spring 2025 season. The first goal, of course, being scored by Francisco Flores, using his head to the rescue, and Sebastian Ruiz Restrepo merely finding enough space, enough real estate to beat Munoz for a second time on behalf of New York Renegades FC. The scoreline may be 2-0 at the end, but Brooklyn FC put a ton of heart into this match. They were defensively sound for all of it. It was just a stoppage time struggle, a stoppage time slugfest on both ends when we're talking about the defensive side of the game. And one would not have expected, perhaps on paper, for this game to be so defensively oriented, but somehow we've found ourselves in, again, a defensive slugfest, one in which New York Renegades FC emerges victorious 2-0. So again, the full-time scoreline of this season-opening Northeast American North contest reads New York Renegades FC 2, Brooklyn FC 2, 0. However, that being said, do stay tuned as we will bring to you some post-match action. This has been the United Premier Soccer League Premier Division on Game in Frame.
My name is Austin Brummett. I'm a men's soccer player at San Diego State University and I play forward. The Salt Air Case helps block odor from my cleats when I'm driving in my car or when I'm keeping my cleats inside my house, so I don't have to worry about it stinking up my room. It helps me keep track of my cleats and my shin guards so I know that they're together and I don't have to worry about tracking them down or losing them or stressing out about where they are. I would definitely rock this, walking to the games, walking around to my trainings. And it's super helpful for travel. When I travel in the airport to go to away games, it's not going to stink up my backpack or stink up the plane where I'm sitting. Magnetic strip on the top is super easy to open to take my cleats out and to put my cleats back in. I think it's an essential part of my outfit for soccer and it helps keep all my stuff organized and stink-free.
A quality highlight reel is crucial for college and pro recruitment. A lot of services offer generic solutions, but at Game & Frame we know every player is unique and needs a personalised approach to win over coaches. Our process is simple. We work with any footage, and if you need help finding your best plays, we'll review games for you. Once we've finished, you'll have a reel you can upload to any recruitment platform. We've helped hundreds of players get the attention they deserve, including placements in Division 1 programs. Scan the QR code or email us for a free consultation and start the journey to maximize your recruitment potential.
Oh, it's a tempting one from Bodenbacher!
Travis Van Brewer is back on. There's a shot! What a shot! CPR back on top! Fayez Merchant!
An inward swinger, right-footed, toward the far post, bouncing up ahead of an FC Westchester player. Oh! What a goal! Goal! Golazo! FC Westchester! A stunning bicycle kick.
Okay, looking to buy himself a free kick. Referee not fooled by that. Charnas, lovely first touch. And a searching ball. Kawasi cuts inside. Oh, it's a glorious second goal for Manhattan Celtic. A super ball by Charnas. And by Kawasi, brought it down and finished sublimely.
Harasabovic sends it long for Kurcic. He chests it down, has a shot over the head and into the net. What a goal! Incredible work to tie this game for Sanjak. It's level at 1.
That's Milton. It's a shot on goal. Oh my word! Off the upright. Had great dip, good power.
Good touch by LB Rexa. Tries to get it back. Down the other way. Go International. Is there space to keep that one in? It is Ryan on the far side. Hunting for something. Has a shot. What a goal! My goodness! Picks out the top corner. International have a lead. 3-1v2, 3v3 now. Cam Park coming back to provide some reinforcement. Mark the strike. Mark the goal! A beautiful strike. A hammer.
Good turn there and the shot. And a goal! What a beautiful turn and finish.
Bonviel has the ball, takes a shot, rips it from outside the 18 and goal!
From perhaps that defensive error. Still with Paxton. Paxton to toward Dagan. Dagan inside the 18-yard box. Dribbles away from 2, 3. Dagan! Goal for Brooklyn United!
Munoz has moved out to the right. Rio, just enough of a touch backfield. Cook Jr. Could be a shot. Hurtado Gomes! 1-0. His 9th goal of the season for Tomas de Andrade Gomes. Comes inside from left wing. Finishes to the left side of the net. Good finish. Clean finish. 1-0 Zoom Schneider.
Suarez, Saluga, trying to go through. Oh my word! It's Merchant again! Oh, he's got the brace.
Of today, especially in the second half. FC Westchester. Oh! What a missile! FC Westchester with a tremendous goal. 2-2.
Spin the shoulders and start the counter. What a ball to Verma. And that ball's hit. What a strike! My goodness!
Live here from Long Island, New York, where New York Renegades FC gets a nail-biting win, 2-0 versus its Brooklyn FC 2 foes. Alongside me first is the captain, or I should say co-captain of this squad, Samuel Cáceres, the Paraguayan who was responsible for really controlling the midfield as well as back line today. So Samuel, felicitaciones con la victoria. Samuel, congratulations with the win. I think we'd like to know first, how does it feel to start the season with a clean sheet today? ¿Cómo se siente ganar este partido con una blanqueada para empezar toda la temporada nueva?
No, bien, realmente hemos hecho un trabajo muy duro. Sabíamos que Brooklyn trabaja bien, tiene una disciplina táctica, pero teníamos que desgastarlo en el primer tiempo y tener paciencia para encontrar el gol. Encontramos al último minuto, pero lo más importante fue que nosotros tratamos de tener protagonismo. Esa es la idea de Renegades. Renegades tiene que tener protagonismo y seguimos nosotros insistiendo en la misma cosa. Venimos años tras años intentando ser protagonistas en todos los torneos y la idea de nosotros es seguir continuando así. Es lo que a nosotros nos exigen los entrenadores y tratamos de asimilar lo que ellos nos están diciendo, intentar todo el tiempo de ser protagonista y jugar al máximo y tratar de de encontrar en algún momento el gol. La verdad que fue un partido muy duro, un partido donde realmente encontramos un equipo bien físicamente, bien defensivamente, pero nosotros también los dos tiempos, el primer tiempo y el segundo tiempo, terminamos en el campo de ellos. Si bien tuvimos opciones de goles, pero encontramos al último minuto, como debería ser.
So he said that, of course, this victory does feel nice. However, he notes that Brooklyn FC 2 does display a resounding amount of discipline, as well as they were being not only physically sound, but also defensively sound. But he says that he also, alongside the team, all had to break down little by little that back line of Brooklyn FC2 and break down, of course, that physical nature of play that they had displayed. However, he also wants to note that with this clean sheet, it does add on to the protagonism, or I should say as well, main character sort of feel that New York Renegades FC wants to display and wants to feel as the season goes on and on and on, given these great expectations. However, he does say that this feels like a very solid win, to summarize it all. Y ahora vamos a hablar individualmente de tu, podemos decir, performance, desempeño, pues. Básicamente, jugaste a un estilo omnipresente. Estabas por todos los lados del campo. ¿Cómo se siente hoy involucrarte en un partido tan físico?
Y la responsabilidad que a mí me da directamente el entrenador Boris, eso para mí es una confianza que realmente él me lo da y trato de rendirle al máximo. Por más que tenga 36 años, trato de mostrarme como un chico y ser líder, porque también para eso él me da esa responsabilidad de ser capitán, de llevar el barco adelante, y lo más importante es contagiarle a los chicos esta manera de jugar. Si bien juego de defensor, trato de acompañar la jugada constantemente, porque, como digo, nosotros buscamos el protagonismo y nosotros tenemos que arriesgarnos y jugar mano a mano muchas veces. ¿Por qué? Porque eso es lo que nos pide el entrenador y tratamos de jugar de esa manera. Trato también de estar bien físicamente, obviamente, para poder rendir, aparte ante chicos que sinceramente tienen y estaban bien físicamente. Nosotros también estábamos bien preparados, sabíamos que íbamos a encontrarnos un equipo difícil y en lo personal me siento contento. Estoy volviendo de una lesión, si bien estuve 3 semanas parado, no es fácil. Boris me dio la confianza y traté de mostrarle otra vez que bueno, que trato de rendir y de proteger el escudo como un líder, como realmente corresponde, y esa confianza que me da a mí para mí es un honor defender los colores del club y tener la responsabilidad de llevar al equipo al frente hace que también tenga ese performance y obviamente la disciplina como jugador.
So he is very proud of his performance. He noted that he is a youngster of 36 years of age, but he does also note that it's that discipline and that drive that trickles down into the rest of the team, into the rest of this young talent, and he wants to show that sort of discipline to make it, again, a stronger team collectively. It's a trickle-down effort that he describes as well. And he's glad that his team was able to catch up with that performance, and he's glad that he was able to deliver, especially noting that he was coming back from an injury, as he noted. So to see himself being able to push himself to the max, to the limit, and being able to come out with a positive result against a very physical and sound Brooklyn FC side, he is satisfied, to say the least, with his performance. Samuel, muchísimas gracias y felicitaciones.
Muchas gracias.
Okay, cuídate. And of course, alongside him is the initial goal scorer, Francisco Flores. Francisco, felicitaciones con el gol. Vamos a hablar primero sobre eso. ¿Cómo te sentiste ahí al ver que el gol finalmente fue marcado en favor de tu equipo?
Muy feliz porque ya eran los últimos minutos, los últimos segundos, ya prácticamente que casi ya iba a terminar el partido, ya estábamos un poco desesperados por buscar el gol porque lo tuvimos todo el partido, estuvimos ahí presionando y no se los daba, y al último minuto, gracias a Dios, se me dio a mí también, para el equipo muy alegre, porque más para el equipo, no por mí, sino por el equipo, porque merecíamos los 3 puntos y merecíamos ganar aquí en casa de nosotros.
So he says that, to say the very least, he was very happy. He says that New York Renegades FC was desperate for a goal, constantly attacking and assaulting that back line over and over and over again, but to no avail. But finally, when that ball hit off the top of his head, or side of his head, I should say, he was happy to see that ball finally end up hitting the crossbar and in to make its way into the back of the net. So again, there's a special sense of happiness for him, given that he scored the goal, but he's overall very joyous with the fact that New York Renegades FC was able to score a goal in the first place. Y ahora vamos a hablar también del futuro, porque, claro, estos son 3 puntos muy importantes para empezar la temporada, obviamente. Entonces, ¿cómo afectará este partido a la mentalidad del equipo?
No, los va a subir la mentalidad ahorita con estos 3 puntos que merecíamos, como le vuelvo a repetir, merecíamos ganar. Entonces, ahorita el equipo se tiene que ir arriba, tenemos que meterle, seguir entrenando todos los días que entrenemos, tenemos que meterle más fuerte para poder definir más al fondo y meter siempre los goles que podamos.
So he says, of course, that these 3 points, I asked him actually first, with how does the collection of 3 points affect the mentality of this team, given that it will be an important start to this season, as they are looking for, again, a 3rd consecutive regular season with a title to hand. He responds, of course, by saying that the team did deserve the 3 points today, New York Renegades FC. They fought tooth and nail for those 3 points today, and that it will play a crucial role in, of course, affecting the trajectory of New York Renegades FC in this campaign. It's a positive start to start off the season as well. So, Francisco Flores, muchísimas gracias y felicitaciones con el gol y con la victoria.
Gracias.
Claro. And it looks like a lot of the Renegades FC family is here as well. We got El Toro, Rences Reneao, of course. Rences, aquí tienes el trofeo. El mejor goleador de la temporada del Fall de 2024. ¿Cómo se siente tener este trofeo? So this is, of course, El Toro Rences Reneao coming back from injury, but he here has to boast the top goal scorer trophy of the United Premier Soccer League. So I ask him, how does it feel to present this trophy to the New York Renegades FC crowd?
Se siente muy lindo, la verdad, porque es algo que desde el principio de temporada estaba en mi mente. Ayudar al equipo con mis goles era algo importante para mí, se lo dije al presidente del equipo y al coach siempre, que era mi meta salir campeón. Lastimosamente no se pudo, pero pude lograr el Golden Boot.
So he says that, of course, this was his effort, that this is his job, his goal. It's to always score goals and to carry the team with the goals to his name, and that he's doing his job, that he wants to impress his coaches, specifically Boris as well in this case. And again, that he simply has done his job and that he's glad that he's able to get this trophy to his name. But he wants more, is actually trophy to the team, which is a nice follow-up question. ¿Cuáles son las aspiraciones de este equipo esta temporada, quizás?
Pues la verdad que esta temporada, como pueden ver, la temporada pasada, el gol de nosotros era llegar hasta las nacionales. Lastimosamente nos quedamos en el camino, pero este año venimos con la misma ilusión y un poco más fuerte. Creo que esta temporada va a ser la temporada de nosotros y vamos a lograr nuestro objetivo, que es ser campeón nacional.
Y ojalá que sea así. So, Rences was describing, of course, what are the aspirations of this team, as I had asked him. And to that, he says that this team wants a national championship. And it would be a very well fought one, given that last season it did end in heartbreak, given that they were, eliminated right before that phase. However, it looks like this team is very confident and very much on the road, prepping itself into getting that. And especially with Rences now part of that roster, as he was last season, it looks like we're going to be having a very healthy aspiration, at least for New York Renegades FC. And of course, we do hope for success on behalf of New York Renegades FC. So, Rences, muchísimas gracias.
Muchísimas gracias.
Felicitaciones, claro.
Gracias.
Yeah, my man. You know,
Boris?
I just got to say that I do miss him so much because he brings that, that extra, like, we need on top, like the guy who everybody fears, and, rightfully so. He can hit it with both feet. How many strikers do you have that, He hits it left, he hits it right. So, to me, it's like he's a big part, and I know that he brings a lot of fear to other teams. And, having him back, next week, I think it'll be his debut back. It hurt us even during the campaign for, the U.S. Open Cup, where we missed them against Columbus Crew. I think it would have been a different game. We could have probably finished something. Not to take anything away, but I think we did an excellent job in the first half of that game. Had we not closed it out right and maybe put in some of those opportunities, But I'm looking forward to the season. I know that, we have a big bullseye on our back. Right. I see Empire. I see everybody coming with all these things, and we just concentrate on our football, getting better. And the team trains like that. They train hard. And, our goal and aspirations is just not about hype. Our thing is just about we want to win the whole thing, make our run again on the Lamar Hunt. So, I knew Brooklyn was going to bring a new aspect to the game, very physical. Even though young team, that I knew they were going to very disciplined team. I don't know how much they could have closed out faster than anybody.
Stoppage time,
It's just crazy how they were doing, and we kept on knocking on the door and finally got through. Made some changes, tactical changes in there. Had to go 2 on top even to try to push the envelope on them more. And finally, thank God it worked out and we got the goals in late, but, better late than nothing. At home, you got to try to win and get the 3 points all the time. So it's a good start. We're working hard. And like I said, I know we have the bullseye on our back. But you know what? Our mentality is just bring it, because we're not letting up. We're not letting up. And you know what? You can quote me on that. We're not letting up. You want the crown, you're going to have to yank it up from us,
Sure.
So, just be prepared, because we're going to always bring it, So, thank you. Just want to, I wish the weather was better. We had a bunch of people that wanted to come out and see it. But you know what? It's just about right now, we just want to just go through the motions, get our victories, get into the playoffs, and make our run, Hopefully this is the season when we can show it.
Well, if this match showed anything, it showed that New York Renegades FC is willing to put up the fisticuffs and willing to fight till literally the dying seconds of the game. Again, 2 stoppage time goals. And I think with your topic that you were talking about, the come get us mentality.
Yes.
I wanted to go maybe back to also what Samuel Cáceres said, that sense of protagonism or that protagonist mindset, how that will affect perhaps the upcoming games just for the regular season.
Yeah, every game is going to be a tough and physical game. I know teams were bringing it and want to, beat us and stuff. And, I told them this when we, started our preseason. We had to start our preseason early because of the, our prep time for the, Columbus Crew. We got a chance to play against New Jersey Alliance, which we watching them. They're on the south,
Right.
But we're watching them. They came. I saw them. They were well armed, well equipped team, and they brought the fight to us. But like I said, we're prepared to do those kind of battles. We want it. So if you want to take it, then come. Because we're not letting up. As a team, we're not letting up. I know what these guys are made of, and we got the heart, and we got the grit to get it done. So, we're not taking anything for granted. We know that the teams are going to come, and they're going to come at us at full steam to try to get the victories, try to get the draws. It's frustrating when you have a team who's just looking to just hold it down. Right. And try to get a goal on a counterattack. But listen, it's commendable to do it, and if I was on the other side, I'd probably do the same thing. But again, we're willing to do what we have to do and to try to get those victories. If we have to grind them out, then we have to grind them out. So hopefully, we have a good start to the season and keep it going, and hopefully we don't get hit with the injury bugs,
That's true. Let's hope for that. And again, it's a 2-to-death mindset that drives New York Renegades FC. Coach Boris, as well as president.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
So, behind the camera has been Marlon Diaz. I have been Sean Cabrera, and we both thank you for tuning into this transmission of the United Premier Soccer League Premier Division, in which New York Renegades Football Club beats its Brooklyn opponents 2-0 thanks to 2 stoppage time goals by Francisco Flores and Sebastián Ruiz Restrepo. Again, you have been watching the UPSL Premier Division Northeast American North Conference right here on Game in Frame.